All right, let's move forward to the next presentation. I want to welcome Christina Finlayson up on stage. Christina is with Balance Agronutrients, and she's an enterprise solution manager, and her passion is using digital technology to help farmers, something very close to me, and make nutritious food as sustainable and efficient as possible, but also to demonstrate the care New Zealand food producers are taking to do the right thing by the environment for future generations. Christina studied environmental and biological sciences, and her career has initially focused on sustainable agriculture science at the New Zealand Institute for Plant and Food Research and advice on the ground for Farm Environment Planner. Please welcome Christina to the stage. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go. What's that? Did I break it? Which button is it? The red one? I'm pushing it. Oh, there's two big green buttons. Sorry, guys. Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. My name's Christina Finlayson, and I lead our enterprise solutions team at Balance. So that's made up of a combination of geospatial analysts, data scientists, and traditional sort of BI analysts. So I'm here today to talk to you about how geospatial is core within our value proposition at Balance. So who is Balance? So we are a fertiliser company. So we manufacture and we distribute and we give advice about nutrients that should be applied on farms. Why is that important? Well, a lot of the food that we produce here in New Zealand goes off overseas. It's exported, about 95% of it, in fact. And so that means that as that food goes overseas, those nutrients go with it. So our role is to replace those nutrients back into the soil to help our farmers create the best soil and food that they can on Earth. I really liked yesterday, Jack mentioned about how together, that's where we make impact, and that's front and centre within our Balance purpose. Together, creating the best soil and food on Earth. So our enterprise solutions team, we do that through delivering impactful insights that help our farmers understand where those opportunities are on farm. So we have this sort of guiding framework called Balance with Nature, and this is where our sustainable development goals come in. So really enjoyed Greg's presentations, both yesterday and earlier this morning. And there are several sustainable development goals that Balance plays an impact and is working on. So ending global hunger, sustainable agriculture is so fundamental within that, and we are so fortunate that New Zealand farmers and growers are some of the best in the world. Many would argue the best. They are amazing at producing really high quality, nutritious food on a really light footprint comparatively. But we can always do better, and that is where my team aim to make a difference. So within our Balance with Nature framework, there's all sorts of different principles, things like creating healthy soil, clean water, making sure that they're using resources efficiently. And this is sort of the guiding framework that guides a lot of what we do. So you think about clean water for our waterways and freshwater ecology, life on land with wetlands and beautiful biodiversity here in New Zealand. We make a huge impact there. We also have a strong manufacturing footprint, so we have 3 different big sites across New Zealand that make our product. About 90% of our business carbon footprint comes from the manufacture of urea in a site in Kapuni. So we're in the process of investing $800 million in fully decarbonising that site, which is pretty cool, and that aligns nicely up to I think it's called effective resource and infrastructure manufacturing or something, one of the other SDGs. So that's just a little bit about Balance and how we line up to the SDGs. So as an organisation, we are made up of 3 parts. So firstly, there is our sort of big balance where we make and we give advice about the nutrients. Secondly is SuperAir, and our geospatial team worked really closely with SuperAir, and this is an aerial top dressing company. So they, if you imagine, lots of planes. They're actually, I think, the second largest fleet of planes of aircraft in New Zealand after Air New Zealand, which is quite interesting. But so SuperAir, they aerially apply nutrients across hill country, which makes up a large proportion of New Zealand's agricultural land. And I'll talk more about how we're helping them later. And thirdly, we have our farm sustainability team. So this is where they're creating farm environment plans. This is where I started my career at Balance, was leading this team. And it was through here that I understood the true impact that geospatial can make on farm. So you would have heard a lot as a member of the New Zealand community about the regulations that farmers and growers are experiencing and having to navigate through. There are lots of different rules. There are many in relation to creating essential fresh water. Obviously a lot around biodiversity coming, Te Mana o Te Taio, and also our zero carbon aspirations as a country as well. So a large part of where we play is trying to help our farmers navigate this. They feel that this threatens, how they already create great food, and so we're trying to make those really complex rules as simple and clear as possible for them, so they know what they need to do to keep doing what they love, which is creating the best food on earth. So I wanted to briefly touch on how geospatial maps, how they sort of unlock value the more detailed they get. Sorry, a lot on this slide, but one of the key things is that we deliver different digital tools depending on the type of map that a farmer might have. So if they just have a boundary of their farm, which is really easy to capture, right? You don't need to know a heap of information about the farm to know the boundary. But there's already so much that we can offer just by doing that. Then you add in where the management blocks are. So where's the effluent area? Where are the crops? Then there's all these new tools that get unlocked by doing that. Then you add in the paddock boundaries. We can start understanding, okay, where are the gates? Where are the troughs? Where are the things that we might want to make sure that fertiliser is getting excluded from? And then we've got the sort of the full hog, so to speak, and that's where really detailed farm features come in, and those are what are needed for farm environment plans, freshwater farm plans, and so that's sort of like at the top of what I'd call the value chain for geospatial on farm at Balance. So an example of one of the tools that we've created is, it's called our nitrogen limit tool. So under the essential freshwater policy, where there is a new limit on how much nitrogen can be applied to farm of 190 kgs of N per hectare per year, which sounds really simple, but there's all these little lovely nuances, thank you Ministry for the Environment, love a good challenge, that are driven by the land use and when exactly that fertiliser was applied as well. So we've created a tool that lives within our MyBalance customer platform. It makes it really easy for our farmers to know how they're tracking relative to this limit and whether or not they might need to course correct before they get to the end of the season and it's too late that they've exceeded their end limit. So it looks like just a lovely map there in the centre. It's a heat map, but it's really smart. It's integrated with hardware that is in the trucks that apply fertiliser across the farm. So we get all of this lovely snail trail information that comes into our platform and then is displayed and aggregated for farmers so that they can make sense of that and understand, okay, oh, it looks like the spreader accidentally applied double the amount on that paddock. I'll make sure that I don't apply that paddock next time so that they don't make that mistake at the end of the season. So this is really powerful. We've had, I think, about 4,000 of our farmers actually use this year. It's been the most widely used tool that helps with this 190 N cap. And we've seen a huge increase in our usage of MyBalance as a result of it. We're really proud of this. One of the challenges in getting that uptake, and because making a really easy customer experience for our farmers is super important. They don't like really complex things. It needs to be really simple, and so we're always striving to remove the barriers for them to use our tools. So the first thing that they needed to do was to set up a farm map. which for many was a really overwhelming task, right? So, and in this case, for this tool, we needed to have the paddock, so we were quite high up that value chain. So we saw an opportunity to use machine learning, hoping the video plays here, and in collaboration with some of our partners, including Avli, we've created this great tool where they can, through our digital customer support team, basically select the land parcels, and then the machine learning automatically figures out the paddock boundaries. So much easier, much cheaper. I promise it won't be as accurate as some of the maps that you provide, but it does the job for this task, and that's the most important thing, so our farmers can be compliant. Next up is SpreadSmart, so that aerial top dressing company that I mentioned earlier. So if you imagine really hilly farms and you're flying aircraft, trying to also adjust the rate of application as you fly around this hilly farm, you get one of the most dangerous industries in New Zealand. So our opportunity with SpreadSmart was not just to help our farmers be more sustainable, help them be more productive, it was also to remove some of the health and safety real challenges that our super air team were experiencing with fatalities, crashing. It's a really dangerous industry. So what we wanted to do was basically take some of that risk out of aerial application, while also making it easier for our farmers to be sustainable. So we've created a great tool called SpreadSmart that uses a combination of geoprocessing and computer vision to identify areas that should be excluded from fertiliser. So things like gullies and ridges, might be some on-farm forestry, waterways obviously, areas that traditionally we wouldn't have been able to exclude from fertiliser. So in this farm's example, it's a 28% reduction in spreadable area. So that farmer can make the choice to save that money, so 28% off his fert bill, or in some cases they might want to apply a little bit more in some of the areas that have more sort of productive potential, where they could grow more grass. So a lot of our farmers do kind of a combination of those two things. So immediately, like a 28% reduction. I think on average across all of the farmers we've done it for, it's a 17% reduction. That's a pretty big reduction on their fertiliser bill. So those exclusion zones then come into the spreadable area map, and this goes into the plane, which the pilot doesn't have to do anything. They don't have to adjust the hopper anymore. The GIS just does it all for them, so they can focus on flying, which is pretty bloody awesome. You'll see here that this slope map here, so we're differentially applying those nutrients based upon the geographic capabilities of the farm and resources. And we've seen a huge impact with particularly our sheep and beef farmers through doing this. So Super Air started as a small company based here in the North Island. They've recently acquired 3 companies over the last sort of 2 years and expanded to have a national footprint because farmers can't get enough of this. It's great for the environment, it's great for their wallets, and it's great for the safety of their pilot as well. One of the other challenges that the Super Air team had was trying to quote up a job. So you imagine there's an airstrip over here and an airstrip over there and about 400 different loads of fertiliser. Imagine the plane going up and down and trying to estimate how much it was going to cost so that farmers knew whether or not this was something that they wanted to do. So pilot, we'll call him Kent, would estimate $10,000, and pilot Cameron would estimate $5,000, and those things would be quite different. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to use our geospatial smarts to sort of standardise this and take some of that risk from a cost perspective away from the Super Air team, so that they could make more of a quoting sort of promise to our farmers. So shout out to Stacey at Avli for some very clever maths. He's collaborated with our team to basically model exactly the optimal flight path for all of those 400 or so different loads that the plane needs to take, exactly where to come in and out of, and basically makes it so much easier for the Super Air team to give the right quote to that farmer. So pretty awesome. If you want to hear more about this, check out the agriculture SIG with Andrew Old and my team doing a deep dive into this later on today. Next up is mitigator. Freshwater farm plans are a really big challenge across the whole of New Zealand, and there's only a few people that have all of the smarts. You need geospatial smarts, you need sustainability smarts, you need land use capability smarts, and also a lot around the commerciality of the farm. And it's really challenging to get across the whole country and deliver freshwater farm plans to all of the farmers that need it. So Mitigator is a tool that helps kind of combine together geospatial information, farm management information to identify those critical source areas to speed up that farm environment planning process, that freshwater farm plan. So in this case here, you'll see the pink areas, the dark pink areas, is about 3 paddocks. So about 25, 26% of the nitrogen on this farm is modelled to be lost from those 3 paddocks. So you imagine how we might want to make some mitigations. We're going to put them probably in those locations. So it sort of brings to front and centre where the impact and opportunity is. In this case, we're talking about sediment, and so of all of the pink area on the side there of the map, so half of the sediment is modelled to be lost from that small area. And so that means that when we target mitigations, that's exactly where we might put them if we might do some spaced pole planting or agroforestry, for example. So here you'll see how we've got that combination of the geospatial farm map, things like soil and slope and different soil characteristics, combining with an overseer nutrient budget, where we understand where every cow is, where every fertiliser application is, irrigation, all of those kind of things. And it brings them together into those risk maps that you saw just before. But we also can help farmers understand where those cost-effective mitigations are best placed. So in this case, we can tell them that by planting out that area that you can see there in the green, they'll make a 25% reduction of their sediment load. And this helps them compare between different options. They can compare spaced pole planting to agroforestry to riparian planting, lots of different mitigations. And it helps give them some of that control back so that they feel like they are in charge of their own destiny and their own farm's future. Really powerful tool. I also just wanted to touch on, so not within our geospatial team, but our BI team, they use a tool called SAP Analytics Cloud. And recently, it's basically a lot of our business dashboards that we provide to different parts of Balance. Things like, okay, how are our sales team going? You can see this here, how the servicing of a sales member's customers are going. Basically, we've added in maps within this SAP Analytics tool, and I think that's sort of pretty out of the box and been really easy to implement to bring to life for those nutrient specialists where they actually need to put some more of their effort. So it's all about enabling that efficiency and also helping them reduce some of the kilometres that they drive so they can be as efficient as possible. Another cool example here is of our carrier network. So you imagine we make a lot of stuff, we have to move it around different places. We obviously want to optimise that to reduce the cost, but also our carbon footprint too. So we embed a lot of those geospatial insights within the dashboards that our procurement and carrier team use. I also just wanted to briefly touch on how we work. And so we get a bucket of money each year for what's called our Geospatial for Growth program. And it's governed by a steerco made up of different sort of business kind of commercial leaders. As a steerco, we bring together different ideas. It could be from manufacturing, it could be from sales, it could be from sustainability. We put all of those ideas together and then we vote on the ones of where we want to spend our money effectively. It's a really effective process, and that's what sort of brought to life a lot of the tools that I've spoken about today. So first of all, it's that ideation stage. Then if we think it's an idea worth chasing, we do a one-pager and make sure that we're clear on what's that return on investment, any sort of technical challenges that we might expect. And then we do a POC in our feasibility. see how that goes, make some adjustments, and then presuming all goes well, that makes its way through the funnel. So that's just a little bit about how we work. I thought I'd share that. I also wanted to celebrate some of the team success. So at Balance, we have our Great People Awards, which recognises leadership across the organisation and the cool things that the business has been doing. So for the last 3 years in a row, our geospatial team have won the Innovator Award. You imagine, we've got a business of about 800 people. There's a heck of a lot of innovation that happens. So cool that our geospatial team are recognised for the massive impact and value that they bring Balance. And just lastly, I just wanted to show how our impact on New Zealand has grown over time. And so you'll see here on the left that in 2017, we were geospatially managing 400,000 hectares of New Zealand. Now we are using our tools on 5.7 million, representing about 42% of New Zealand's agricultural land. So we're really proud of that impact. Thank you.
Don't run off.
Cool.
Thank you. Wait. I have one question.
Oh, yeah?
Actually, I have lots of questions,
Okay.
but we don't have time. But I have just one
Wanting
question, which is, I would guess most of the farmers and agriculture people that you work with, they don't understand GIS. So it would be interesting how you think about the application design that actually gets value to them. Is there a way that you approach that?
Yeah, so the magic moment for me was sitting down trying to explain a nutrient budget to a farmer, and then as soon as I geospatially represented that, the farmer lit up and they got it. And so that's kind of our communication tool, our geospatial maps. That's why it makes such a big difference to our farmers. They're visual people, they're passionate about their land, and so by putting their farm front and centre within a conversation, that's when we really get their engagement and they see that opportunity.
That's
Yeah.
great. Thank
Cool.
you so much.
Cheers.
I said that farming was near and dear to me. My dad's a farmer, and I tell him all the time he should use GIS, and he looks at me like I'm an idiot. And he is like, I know where every rock is, I know where all the dirt is, and that's probably true. He's been doing it for 60 years. But the next generation of farmers, the newer people that are coming in and picking up some of this land and farming it, they actually do not know all of the intricacies of all of the things underneath the soil. And applications like this are actually going to improve value, improve production, they're going to protect the environment, and they're really going to feed the world. So thank you very much for your presentation.